Hello everyone, I am Taureor and welcome to my newest Hearts of Iron 4 video. Today we're going to play as the United Kingdom and just sit on our island and do nothing. Well, not exactly. We're going to use our planes to hopefully destroy Germany. This is more an experiment than a challenge because I want to see if by just using our planes we can cause the fall of the Reich. In the current build of the game, without our intervention, they'll just steamroll all of Europe and the Soviet Union as well. So let's see if planes can do it. Also, this video is sponsored by War Thunder, but not just that, all the planes that we're going to be using here, you can actually fly in War Thunder, and I will briefly show you that. Let's talk about War Thunder for a moment and then get going. War Thunder is a free-to-play military vehicle simulation game. We're focusing on planes today, but you can also drive tanks and steer boats. War Thunder features over 1,500 military vehicles for you to choose from. Pretty much if a plane or tank or boat was ever used in combat, you can probably fly it, drive it. So if you'd like to try flying one of the planes we will be using in Hearts of Iron today, make sure to check out War Thunder. You can do that by clicking the link in the description below. United Kingdom, regular difficulty, Ironman mode, historical focuses, let's go. This is my second time recording this because the first time around I left the computer and accidentally unpaused the game, and I think we all know what damage that does to an Ironman playthrough. Let's start. So, first off, what focuses do we want to use? I want to get the extra research slot as soon as I can. Fighter and Bomber Command would be helpful, as well as the Imperial Federation. However, that will take a very long time to complete. Let's start with limited rearmament because we want to grab the Shadow Scheme and general rearmament whenever they are available because of the world tension. As for production, let's cancel everything that is not planes or infantry equipment. We're also going to cancel most of our ships. Some of them are almost finished, so let's keep those, but the rest, you know, we don't need them, and I don't care about the Navy at all. What I do care about is convoys. Convoys are great for lowering autonomy. Once we're done with all these ships, we will be making around 30 convoys a month, so I will start lend-leasing to my subjects already. I'm setting it up now, this way I won't have to do it later. Let's select all our troops, switch them all to infantry divisions. Or maybe we should do colonial garrison. Let me have a look. Yeah, you know what? Colonial garrisons might be better for just defending our territory. Let's go to 2 full armies and just use colonial garrisons. And they will be more than enough to defend our territory. Oh, I unpaused, but that's a bit too early. Also don't want interwar bombers. We will be focusing on strategic bombers, heavy fighters, and CAS. Although CAS might not be that useful to us. As for construction, just civilian factories for now. We must realize this is a long game. Long-term prosperity has to be our priority. As for research, let's research some research, construction, production, and an air doctrine. We're going with strategic destruction. I should also take all our navies. I'm not sure if I ever mentioned that I don't like navy, so I'm just going to take all of them. Yeah, I know this is not an efficient way of doing it, and they would be much better off if I just kept them in separate navies. But I don't care, I just want to set them on defense order here and forget them forever. King George dies. We're going with the abdication route, because we're mostly keeping things historical. I guess I will confront the Germans if the French do it, and I might intervene in Czechoslovakia to weaken the Germans long term, but other than that, you know, we're staying democratic, and just using our planes. Remilitarization of Rhineland, okay, is that enough to select Shadow Scheme? No, I think if I paused that one day earlier, I might be able to select the Shadow Scheme because of the world tension. Oh well, unfortunately the French did not oppose it. For now, let's reinforce the Empire. Extra stability will help as well. Germany dominates Dutch trade negotiations. We don't care. Spanish Civil War fires, which means we will be able to do the Shadow Scheme, but let's finish reinforcing the Empire first. Let us hire a silent workhorse. Basic machine tools, concentrated industry. Now, encouraging the colonial elites is a very powerful focus, but we want to get the extra research slot first. So, Shadow Scheme. We're going the abdication route. Extra stability. Lots of stability. That will go down a little bit once we start inviting German and Italian scientists. Next air doctrine, please. Interception. Detection. I'm also going to release some nations. Well, the ones that I'm allowed to, so Egypt, basically. Why? Well, because there aren't really any factories here, like 2 of them. And with the generic focus tree, they can actually build the territory up a bit, and I will not be defending this territory myself. They can try and handle it on their own. Long story short, long term this should be better for us. I would like to release the others as well, however we are not allowed to do it without the decolonization thing unless it's, Northern Ireland and Scotland. Is this my core territory? Yes it is, so there's no need to release Ireland. Well, Northern Ireland. Let's start construction 2. It is a bit ahead of time, but I want to use my bonuses from a focus on construction 3 and industry 3. Enough political power to modify the government. We are going to free trade. Let's now go with industrial effort. It gives us 2 bonuses to industry. We have 48 of these units. Let's train them up. Industrial effort complete. Extra research slot. See, Egypt just has 1 factory, but with industrial effort, they will get a lot more. This is why having tons and tons of puppets is actually very profitable in the long run. Since we have enough political power, let's invite some German scientists. Research slot complete. We don't really need the ordnance factories right now. Let's focus on reinforcing the empire further and getting colonial elites. Inviting Italian scientists. Just look at that tech bonus. Construction 2 complete. Time to go for construction 3. Yes, it is very much ahead of time, but in the long run these do pay off. Concentrated industry 3. Chinese United Front forms, so there will be a lot of world tension soon. We should be able to proceed with general rearmament. Now before Baldwin resigns, let's take a war industrialist. And now we get Neville Chamberlain, partially to blame for Hitler's exploits because of appeasement. If you're not aware what appeasement was, essentially the Allies decided to let Hitler have his fun, so that he will be satisfied with it. And of course, he was not. Amelia Earhart circumnavigates the globe. Lots of stuff happening in China. We could of course intervene, but that is not our focus today. Let's hire an air warfare theorist. We're going to research a strategic bomber and a heavy fighter. Those are just the 1936 models. We will not be using them. They will just opening us up for the better models later on. And the Hurricane as well. Time for an aircraft designer. We have 2 good options here. The light aircraft designer for agility and max speed on fighters, or the medium aircraft designer for heavy fighter reliability. And that is what we're going with. We developed the Raj and we've completed 2 new plane research bits. With the Hurricane research complete, we will start developing the first of the planes that we'll actually be using quite a lot. The Spitfire. Quite a famous plane. It is a fighter, so it just has a range of 1000 kilometers, but we're going to use it to defend our territory and for strikes against French territory. That's what it looks like in Hearts of Iron 4, but you can actually fly it in War Thunder. The Supermarine Spitfire is an iconic British fighter that was quite important in the Battle of Britain. It is quite agile, which makes it ideal for dogfighting, but this guy is pretty good. Teamwork, yay! So if you want to try flying the Spitfire yourself, click the link in the description below and try out War Thunder. So let's start the research of the Spitfire. See, and we wanted to time the fighter command properly so that I can use the bonuses from fighter command on the Bullfighter and the Mosquito, which are going to be more important to us. And we can actually start adjusting our production, so we actually make some strategic bombers as well as heavy fighters. Let's improve worker conditions. That extra stability should be helpful. Anschluss of Austria stuff is going down. Now, aircraft production group is normally quite useful, however, we are not going to be focusing on fighters, but rather on heavy fighters. And start researching the Bullfighter. Bullfighter is going to be one of the planes that we're actually using for quite a long time, and then we'll try to upgrade it to the Mosquito, although that will take some time. So, let's use the bonus and start researching it. Now it is once again time to focus on the Empire. Indian autonomy, please. We will require this for the Imperial Conference. I'm going to temporarily relocate all these air wings to France to try and damage the German armies as much as possible when France is still defending, but France of course will fall, so, there's only so much we can do. France wants to join allies. Oh, this is interesting. We can refuse France joining the allies. We are going to allow that, of course. France joins the Allies, and the Munich Conference. Now, this is an interesting choice, because we could abandon Czechoslovakia, and of course that would lead to a war pretty soon anyway, but we could try and defend them right now. What happens if we do that? Germany attacks them, and the war starts much earlier, which means Germany doesn't have that much time to prepare. Perhaps France survives for longer, and also they will not be able to normally annex Czechoslovakia into their territory. This way, they will get unrest here, which will weaken them a little bit in the long term, which means I'm doing this. The cost in political power is quite high, but I think it's worth it. Czechoslovakia must be defended. Now, of course, we could intervene, send our troops here, and hopefully defend them from the Germans completely, but we're not allowed to do that. What we are allowed to do is use our planes. So let's try and help the Czechs a little bit. Deploy all the planes we have. Take all these planes. Sudetenland crisis. And are the Germans attacking or not? Yes, the Germans have attacked, which means the war is on. I have been asked to join the war. Yes, please. Now, starting the war early like this is probably going to weaken them a little bit. Let's take all our planes and send them to Czechoslovakia. Let's develop South Africa. See, our subjects want to join the war, but releasing Egypt was actually a strategic decision. See, the Italians and the Germans won't be able to advance through Egypt if it's not part of the war. They can still attack from Italy here, but that should buy us some time. Let's select half of the air wings, relocate them to a different airport, and then half again and to a different airport. Okay, do we have air superiority? Not yet, but we should have it soon. Now we have to choose carefully who we're going to allow into the war. Not Egypt, and not South Africa. The rest, yes please. We're going to be attacking German territory with those strategic bombers that we already have, and I will send some heavy fighters to help them out. Okay, heavy fighters going to Eastern Germany and strategic bombers too, the rest focusing on Czechoslovakia. Hopefully, we can help them defend for a little bit, and inflict some casualties to the Germans, of course. And we will be able to operate from France after that for a while, but we do have to invest in heavy fighters because once France falls, well, then we'll have quite a long distance to travel. Okay, the Czechs are trying to defend. They might be able to hold out for a while. Our planes are not doing that much, and I am losing them quickly, but at least we're getting air experience. What I should be doing, actually, is boosting democracy in Italy right from the start, but you know, I thought that would not be fair to the Germans. Getting involved in the war in Czechoslovakia gives us two things. One, Germany... Oh! I did not do this. Interesting. Why did the Civil War happen? I did not... I selected the historical focuses. Okay, perhaps that's what happens when you help Czechoslovakia. I had no idea, actually. Okay, yeah, please, sure. Civil War, accept. Cool. Now we can go to war economy. It looks like we are actually winning. That is curious. I had no idea this would happen if I supported Czechoslovakia. Good to know. It is now clear to me that we are going to be victorious and defeat Germany shortly. Berlin is ours. Apparently, who's best at defeating the Germans is other Germans. This is actually very surprising. I was not aware that I would cause a civil war by supporting Czechoslovakia. I just hoped for some unrest here. And while this outcome is wonderful and saves my beloved Poland from being invaded, it also defeats the purpose of this video. Because, yes, we won, we just defeated Germany, but not because of the planes, but because of our political decisions. Essentially, this is a triumph, but it is mostly the triumph of the German Republic. We want it to be the triumph of the United Kingdom. So what I'm going to do is start all over again and make pretty much the same moves until the Czechoslovakia decision, and this time we're not going to support them, and see if we can cause the defeat of Germany on more historical terms, without a civil war in Germany. Although it really shows you what could have been if the Allies had a little bit more of a backbone when Hitler was starting his expansion. Anyway, let's start once. Okay, let's start over. Starting once again. Regular difficulty, Ironman modes, historical focuses, start. Ironman United Kingdom 3. I'm gonna do pretty much the same moves as before. Some details might be different, but I'm not gonna show everything because, you already saw it the first time around. Okay, we are at the same point again. France wants to join the Allies, yes, but unfortunately the Czechs are on their own. Pity, you did see how that works out if we support them. The Munich Agreement, unfortunate. Well, now we should start preparing to defend France. Question of Yugoslavia. Do we care? We do not care. Let's take our entire air force and relocate it to France. We're going to try and defend the Benelux first. Now, even if we lose all of them, they will provide us with valuable air experience. Might be time to hire a Chief of Air Force. I guess I'll hire the air safety expert. Bristol Bullfighter is complete, our first serious level heavy fighter. We will start working on the Mosquito shortly, but the Bullfighter is one of the planes we are actually be using quite a lot. Let's switch to the Bullfighter and actually create a variant. Now we have extra reliability from the company that we're using. Let's increase our reliability even further to 104%. The Spiteful will have to wait quite a long time. As for strategic bombers, we finished the Lancaster, and we can start working on the Lincoln. The Lincoln is a heavy, long-range bomber. Of course, it cannot compete with a Spitfire in a dogfight, but we kind of have to rely on cover from our teammates so that we can reach our targets and deliver the payload. Where are my teammates at? Now, the closer we can get to the target, the more precise our bombing will be. Let's drop a couple bombs. And another target. Boom. Did I hit them? Haha! Fate of Czechoslovakia. Unfortunate. But nothing can be done about it. Now, 2 more focuses and the war starts. I completely forgot to switch to military factories. But you know what? It's fine. We are aiming at the late game anyway. France will fall, and what we need to do is defeat Germany afterwards when they are fighting the Soviets. Well, let's make sure to plop down some military factories. And France is foolishly removing troops from the Benelux borders. That's fine, France is lost anyway. German Reich declared war on Poland. Hey Poland, want to join my faction? Yes, please, you can join. And we will join your wars. We have air superiority everywhere. Cool. Now let's see if our planes can actually do any serious damage to the Germans. Okay, let's see how much damage we can do. Also, I think I'm gonna need more oil. So how are we doing? We have air superiority. The Germans are sending in more planes. That should not really be a oh, that's a lot more planes. That might become a problem. How much damage can we do in terms of bombing? Also, I'm going to accept Australia, India. Oh, they renamed to Dominion of India. Good. British Malaya, New Zealand, and Canada, but I'm not going to accept Egypt or South Africa into the war. Why? Well, because if I don't do that, the AI will not declare war on them most likely, and they will remain safe. Also, Egypt is cutting off their supply lines by not being involved. Of course, Italy is going to, take our stuff in Africa, but South Africa should be safe. Unfortunately, Poland will not survive for long, but that is not a surprise to anybody. Now, time to switch to war economy. I'm going to improve relations with all my subjects. Well, not all of them, just the ones that are going to be involved in the conference. Is my bombing doing anything? What we're doing now is mostly geared towards gaining air experience and slowing the Germans down a bit. Luxembourg has joined the Allies and capitulated. Poland is going to lose now. Ooh, and Italy is moving into France. Yeah, I mean, it's obvious France is going to fall, just hoping to slow the Germans down as much as possible. And now we have Winston. Legionary Bulgaria joins the Axis, and how are we doing on our planes? We don't have air superiority in the Benelux. Well, the Germans did bring quite a lot of planes. Actually, they do have a sizable air force. But that is giving me a lot of air experience, and we will put that to good use later, when they're fighting the Soviets. Belgium exiled. I really like that scenario in which we helped Czechoslovakia, and the Germans died. France is about to surrender. Let's maybe take our planes out of there, shall we? I will reorganize them in a moment. Free France exiled. Yeah, let's do an exemption from elections. French exile officers, and so on. Okay, I think we're pretty safe on our island. We'll just stay here. Now, all of you guys are actually going to be covering France. Mostly. The Germans will have to repair the damaged factories and all that. We will move on to attacking Germany proper later on, once we have, a lot of heavy fighters that can actually fly that far. And in the long term, I think damaging their economy will be the best choice. Distributed my fighters. We should be having air superiority shortly. Yeah, right, we have air superiority. We will need to also deploy some anti-air stuff later on. Things are acceptable. I will need to deploy some more planes to defend ourselves, but in general, we are alright. The Germans do have more planes, and I realize I am taking heavy casualties in that regard. But I am gaining air experience, and that is also important. Let's do the Imperial Conference. It's time now. Actually, it was time a while ago, but I forgot. It's fine. I think we'll only start making a real difference in maybe 1942. For now, I'm perfectly happy with all the air experience we're getting. I will use that for better plane variants. Mexican oil. We don't care. Germany declares war on Yugoslavia, and you automatically join their faction. I wonder if I can actually do some serious damage with those bombers. Probably not. We're holding the Imperial Conference now. I have increased relations with all my guys, so that's good. Wait a minute, cold arms from Poland. Against who? Oh, against Croatia. That's fine. Yes, sure, I'll accept. Oh, cool. I can hold this speech. I did not realize that. We'll get to that later. For now, it's time for the Imperial Conference. Our relations with the Dominions have worsened, which is why I was improving them earlier. Now they like me. This gives us a bunch of decisions related to the Imperial Conference. We cannot discuss appeasement anymore because there isn't any. Let's just do all of these one by one. Imperial Defense. We can spend a lot of political power to convince everyone to our cause. Let's do that. Let's see what they say. New Zealand accepts. See, for each of those little acceptances, we get a bonus. For this, it's 3% factory and dockyard output for each of the dominions that accepts. Australia accepts, India accepts, Canada accepts, and South Africa accepts. So that's plus 15% factory and dockyard output. Just for a year, not indefinitely. Well, that's good enough. Imperial trade next. Once again, let's spend all that political power. I need more oil. New Zealand accepts. That helps our trade relations, but also switches all of them to free trade, which is superior to anything else. Next, Imperial economy. Once again, spend all the political power. Romania gives Bessarabia to the Soviets, that's fine. Mexican compensation. Sure, let's be friends with Mexico again. Economy acceptance. See, all the factory construction speed plus 3% per accepting party. So that's 15% total if all of them accept. See, that's some pretty quick factory construction. And lastly, discuss Imperial Federation. That will gradually lower all over their autonomies, leading me to finally annex all of them. Everyone should accept in time. South Africa, Canada, India, New Zealand, and Australia, all of them accept. Perfect. Now, I can't do that yet. We need to lower their autonomy first, but, you know, everything is in place for that to happen. Also, let's have a look at all the decisions we now have available. Oh, cool. We can spend command power to get some extra experience. Sure, let's do that. Let's spend all that command power. I don't have any use for it anyway. Let's hold the blood, toil, tears, and sweat speech. Extra stability and war sport. We shall fight on the beaches. Again, war sport. Interesting. I can trade Northern Ireland for Ireland joining the war. No. Invoke the alliance of 1373. We can get Portugal into the allies that way. Let's try that. And let's do improved worker conditions. I could use this stability. Portugal joins the allies, and each of our dominions gets reduced autonomy every day until we can annex them. We're going to use all that air experience to get some new plane variants. Who can we invite to our faction? Finland. No. No, you cannot join my faction. I want to be friends with the Soviet Union. And we can start lowering autonomy. New Zealand, autonomy going down. See, South Africa and Egypt not being involved in the war is actually quite helpful down here. Let's do the Hawker Typhoon. Destroyers for bases. Do we care for American destroyers? Whatever, let's be friendly. I would give you the bases for free. Atomic research. We have finished the research of the Mosquito, the Havilland Mosquito FB, the best heavy fighter available to us, with a range of 2,000 kilometers. Also very reliable. With its long range, the Mosquito heavy fighter is perfect for escort missions. It is not as agile as a regular fighter, so dogfighting is difficult, but it does pack a punch if you can hit the enemy. Teamwork. The Spitfire is much more agile and fares much better in a dogfight. But you must remember that a light fighter like this does not have the range for escorting a bomber. We would like our planes to cover most of eastern Germany, so I would ideally like to increase the range of our new heavy fighter. The Mosquito has the range of 2,000 kilometers, but let's say we bring it up to 2,400. That should cover all of eastern Germany all the way from the United Kingdom. So let's do that. Right, at the reliability of 104%, increased air attack, and highly increased range. Yeah, that should work. I will modify this further later on. The Mosquito FB1 Mark 1. As for the Spitfire, it is useful, but I mostly want to focus on deep strikes into enemy territory. Yeah, this looks like it should work out nicely. I will be modifying the Heavy Fighter to max out its potential. Advisors, a superiority expert. Let's do the cryptologic bomb. It's going to open our options down here. The Avro Lincoln is complete. Heavy strategic bomber that we're going to use to destroy Berlin. And some other places too. Wait a minute, we can actually invade Ireland through a decision. I don't think so, no. I guess I'm fine with selling Northern Ireland. Let's do that. Oh, they reject it. Okay, whatever. Let's hold another speech then. Extra war support. Now, I would invade Ireland, but we are not allowed to use our ground forces. Some troops have landed in Portugal, but Portugal can handle it, I think. Greece capitulates. Now let's all do all of these so we can use some nukes on the Germans. Romania joins the Axis. Now everything will go down once the Soviets enter the war. We will need to do our best then. Japan demands French Indochina. We don't really care about Japan, all we care about is Germany being defeated. Let's research the Supermarine Spiteful. Slightly better than the Spitfire. The radar station in Sussex gets an upgrade. Time to decrease some autonomies. I think it's time to try bombing Germany. Heavy Fighter 3 and Heavy Fighter 2. Let's see if we can send you to Berlin. Yes, I estimated the range well enough. Can I get air superiority here with just the heavy fighters? The Germans are bringing their fighters in, and yeah, it's difficult. But ours are quite powerful. Yeah, I'm gonna need 2,000 or 3,000, it's gonna be better. So cancel your mission for now, there's no need to lose all these fighters. But we can easily reach Germany, and that's what it's about. We're going to bomb Berlin senseless. The Sussex radar station improves. Australia and South Africa become less independent. Now we need the United States to join our faction. They can be quite helpful indeed. I think we should get some more strategic bombers going on. I wish there was a auto-manage navy button. Germany attacks the Soviet Union. Okay, this is our time to shine, more or less. I did get military access from the Soviet Union, although I don't think I can use their air bases. Not a problem. We have high range. I am building the anti-air stuff, so I'll just leave 200 fighters on each of these. Our heavy fighters, well, they will focus on Berlin. Let's deploy some strategic bombers. We should be able to deal some serious damage here. The Americans are already at war with Japan. Soon they will be in our faction. Okay, we have a superiority in Berlin, and we're bombing it extensively. I wonder how that's going to affect the Germans versus the Soviets. See, the continuous bombing is going to decrease their war support gradually, like it is decreasing mine, and that eventually should help us out. Okay, you know what? Let's try and spread our actions here all over Germany. I do love the range of heavy fighters. Let's see if I can get air superiority everywhere. More or less, yes. I think I was doing more damage when we were just focusing on Berlin. Still, that's fine. Okay, I've tried things out a bit, and it seems like the Germans have all their planes over here, supporting the war with the Soviets, which is the wise choice, but it gives me free reign over their territory. So I think we're going to damage their infrastructure in Western Poland. All these strategy bombers, assign them here, and tell them all to destroy infrastructure. Just infrastructure. Why? Well, because this way, their troops should not be getting supplied. At least not properly supplied. Oh, I can invite someone to our faction. Who is that? United States. Perfect. Oh, they want to join, just like that. Okay, I accept. Gonna need some more oil. So I wonder, can we destroy all that infrastructure in Poland and prevent the Germans from getting supplied? Yes, it seems like we are having some success with that. Damaged levels, 6 out of 6. Cool. Now that we are in a faction with the United States, we can get some nuclear bonuses. I'm not sure how much that will help, but theoretically, if there is no infrastructure on the way to the Russian front, there should be no food or ammunition on the Russian front. The unfortunate thing is that they can still get supplied through Romania. And actually I should have given them greater range, because if I could send my heavy fighters up to eastern Poland, we could help the Russians directly. The range is growing. Can I send you here? Yes, kinda. Unfortunately, I lost a large amount of footage. See, a recording did not complete properly. And unfortunately, with the OBS software that I'm using, which is great in other ways, this makes the whole clip unusable. So I'm gonna have to explain a little bit of what has been going on. I'm still working on annexing all my subjects, although that's not really important for the outcome of this. We have been using our heavy fighters and strategic bombers to destroy infrastructure in Poland, so that the Russian front would not be properly supplied. I was hoping that would enable the Russians to push back against the Germans, but it proved to not be sufficient. Now, could this be successful? Well, theoretically, yes, but I would have to adjust a few things with this strategy. See, even if infrastructure is destroyed in Western Poland, the Germans can still route supplies through Hungary and Romania. Also, their industry is so powerful that they can almost instantly repair the infrastructure, so this is not the way to go. And I'm pretty sure we're going to lose at this point because the Soviet Union is in retreat. Communists relent. Comment on influence. We had comment on influence. How did I not notice that? Never mind. So what could we do to make this work? I suppose rather than focusing on destroying infrastructure and decreasing supplies to the Germans, we should have been focusing on giving the Russians air superiority while they started their fighting. So we would need to have our planes reach Western Poland and Eastern Poland when the Russians and the Germans start fighting, and we would need to almost exclusively use heavy fighters for that, because, non-heavy fighters cannot reach this area. Could also add some tactical bombers to the mix to damage the German units directly, or, continue on with damaging infrastructure. But having tons and tons of heavy fighters here to give the Russians constant air superiority could possibly turn the tide of the war. I chose to attack the infrastructure, and that was not sufficient, and now it's too late because my planes cannot reach that far. If we were in the same faction as the Russians, I could support them with normal planes or just my heavy fighters from their own territory, but that is not an option. Now, we could move our air force to Cyprus and strike from there, although from here we can only reliably cover Ukraine. What else could we do? Not much, really. We would need air bases much closer to the Russian front than we currently have. I could, of course, achieve that by defending Norway and using Norway as an air base, but that would require using my land forces, which I should not do. We could get Finland into our faction, but then that would put us at war with the Soviet Union, which pretty much defeats the purpose. Now, if Greece had an airbase here, we could theoretically reach Belarus from there and have a better coverage of Eastern Poland. Still, that is not a perfect setup. So, could we do better in this scenario? Yes. But the only way I see this working is if we just made lots and lots of heavy fighters with maximum range and focused on getting the Soviets air superiority in Eastern and Western Poland when the fighting against the Germans started exactly at that moment. Now it is already too late and the Germans are steamrolling the Soviets. Now I have also been researching nukes and stuff like that, but that really won't matter because nukes really suck in Hearts of Iron 4. I would need like 1,000 nukes dropped all over Germany to decimate their forces, and yeah, maybe that would make a difference. But otherwise, nope, nukes are useless. Like, we lost like half of the plane we relocated to Cyprus because our heavy fighters are not that good against regular fighters. Their advantage is they have a very high range, but they're not that great in general. So, what is the conclusion here? Are planes important? Yes, they are. You need air superiority to boost your units, prevent bombing, damage the enemy infrastructure, and so on. Now, can you win using only planes? No. No, you can't. See, for example, if the war support penalty was not capped at minus 30%, we could bring down German war support to 0 practically, and, have them hit by constant strikes and all that. And such a thing would damage them and possibly lead to their defeat. But with the cap of bombing damage being at only 30%, there's really not that much we can do. If we are much, much stronger than them and had, like 20,000 planes, we could destroy all their factories, theoretically, and keep them destroyed so that they wouldn't be able to rebuild. But having such an air force isn't really possible in a normal game. We could theoretically do it by not joining the war and just building our stuff up until, 1946 or something like that, and only then striking at Germany with superior amounts of firepower from the air. That could theoretically yield a result, but I don't think that result would be sufficient. And finally, nukes. Can you win with nukes? No, nukes are crap. Lots of production for nothing. So yeah, planes are powerful, planes are fun, planes have to be considered support. We can't just use them and not have a land force to be effective. Not against Germany we can't. So planes are kind of like a condiment here, say mustard. It can help your food, but it's not really food by itself, is it? In other words, you can't win with just planes. But they sure are fun. And they're fun to fly in War Thunder. Yes, I'm doing Linus-style segues now. Once again, this video is brought to you by War Thunder, where you can fly all of these planes yourself. Make sure to check the game out by clicking the link in the description below. And start playing for free right now. Sorry for the cut-out bit of footage. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it rather than, start the whole video all over again. I might try it again in the future with the Soviet Union, where we have an army that can't advance but only defend, and it's supported by our planes. That was my other idea for this video. So that's something we can consider for the future. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see that in the future, perhaps. Or, any other variation of that, or something only video. These are fun to plan out, even though they usually don't work as intended. Now, one last thing before we end this video. Let's decrease the autonomy of South Africa, which will finally let us do the Imperial Federation focus. So let's just do that. And here goes the Imperial Federation. Complete. Rise of the Commonwealth of Nations. Everything has been annexed. We now have 500 factories, which is actually not that many for this time in the game. But we didn't invade anyone. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you again soon. Goodbye.